things. Money is the root of all evil, right? Money is a byproduct of success. As a younger person, what's your thought when you think about money and what it brings, and can it buy you happiness?
This is a conversation that's like very interesting to me, is the dynamic of rich parents with rich kids. Welcome back, everybody, to the JohnnyDrinks Podcast. I'm your co-host, Johnny. I'm here with my father.
This is John.
Today, we're going to be talking about money and the relation to happiness. But before we get started, quick shout out to the shirts we're wearing. Dad, why don't you show some love to the...
Oh, my shirt. You like this, though? Seriously?
I do actually like that. I was going to say that I liked it even prior to you telling me what kind of shirt
Well,
it was.
yeah, you asked. So this is my Collars and Company. And I got to tell you, when I first heard about them, I associated it just with collars. And I saw them on Shark Tank and the whole storyline and blah, blah, blah. And I love their polos too, because it's stiff and goes underneath my sweaters and my jacket. But this is a great lightweight, casual piece that I really just enjoy.
What's the material on that?
You know, I don't know the blend of it. I can look. You want me to take my shirt off?
No.
Okay,
go ahead. Do what you got to do.
I don't know the exact blend. I'm sure it's on one of these tags.
It's very soft.
But this belt, look at this belt too. This
Belt's
knit
nice,
belt.
pants are nice, yeah.
Look at this.
Collars and
Put it
Company.
in
How
there,
about that?
any size, pants. Yeah, these pants are Collar and Company too.
And that was an unpaid ad right there.
Yeah, it was. So, but my shoes are mine. My shoes are, I forget who makes these, but anyway.
Let's go.
I like your t-shirt.
Yes, this t-shirt is the official Johnny Drinks Espresso Martini t-shirt. The time that we launched this podcast, they're going to be on sale in reverse. So this is actually going to be like a brown maroon color. This design is going to be on the back. The front is going to be just the espresso martini glass with little Johnny Drinks signature on the top. But I have to warn you guys, it may be sold out by the time we air this. I'm not sure how many we're going to be selling, but they're going to sell like hotcakes. So that I have Abercrombie jeans on, and I have my Converse. I have Converse in like 10 different colors. So
Those are nice. I got to get a pair of those. You think I
style.
could rock them?
Not really. Their style.
You're probably
Too
right.
old. Yeah. But that goes into money and happiness. Being able to buy certain things that
Yeah.
bring you a sense of satisfaction and accomplishment. And that's what I want to talk about. I want to ask you more so growing up when you started to really, because from my knowledge, you never grow up with like these crazy aspirations of being super, super rich. But I think once you got a taste of making money, that was attracted to you and you wanted to keep going.
You know, growing up for me, I just wanted to experience something different, right, than what I had. And I think that's what it is for a lot of people. You probably always aspire to have something more or additional to what you might see. You know, you have a nice car, someone else is driving a nicer car. So you want that car. And then that person has that car. There's always that one up level higher, right? I think about, there's a cartoon of a guy sitting in his car, and next to him, someone rolls up in a nicer car. And then the person in a nicer car, somehow there's a bigger car, a bigger car, and then there's an airplane or something. And they want the airplane, and it's a boat. And so those are the levels of, I think, what people aspire to have in the materialistic way, right? And what they envision happiness is. But I have a different view on that. Those things, materialistic things, bring pleasure, and they don't necessarily bring happiness. Do you feel money equates directly to happiness?
Money is, in this day and age, in this country, a signal or a stamp of approval almost that you are doing the right things in most senses. So if you can achieve the goal of making money, you've done something. So I think it's very hard for people to feel happy with what they're doing and like take a step back and really feel like this joy that they are achieving something, because in a lot of cases it's very subjective. You don't really know if you're achieving anything. So money is like that standard of, okay, if I said I wanted to make $1 million and I made $1 million, then I did it. I can be happy now with myself.
So it's more of a milestone.
I think so. I think it's like going to the gym and lifting weights. I know I'm strong when I say to myself, I'm going to lift this much weight, and I lift that much weight, and now I can say I did it. Congratulations. But I do think it creates like this chase for me, especially.
Well, there is So money is, money's a lot of things. Money is the root of all evil, right? Money is a byproduct of success. Money is just currency. It's a form of trade. So it depends on where you are, maybe in your life, and how you evaluate money, making it, having it, losing it, aspiring to get it back. It's always those different shades, I think, in different, depending on what age you're at. But let's talk about at a young age. You're 27. I was 27, obviously, at one point, and I didn't have some of the things that I have today. And the mindset. So as a younger person, what's your thought when you think about money and what it brings, and can it buy you happiness?
I mean, I went from like pretty dramatically. I was in college, not making a lot of my own money at all. I wasn't broke because I lived at home and didn't really have any expenses, but I was making no money with a startup, to then switching gears to making a significant amount of money with what we're doing, to then this like drastic, holy shit, I have to compete with myself. And then when I didn't 10x what I made, it was like this smack in the face of, are you really accomplishing what you want to accomplish? And then you start comparing yourself to people that are just at a different level. So money brought me happiness, and then money brought me right back down to not being happy, to now like I'm at this equilibrium of, I know that it's so much more about how I get to where I want to be than like this final destination. Everybody says that, but I think you really have to go through it to experience it. I don't know what my end goal is. I don't know if I want to be a billionaire, or I don't know if I ever say like, hey, I got enough.
All right. So if I gave you a choice, I'm going to give you $1 million,
Yeah.
or I'm going to give you a family that is yours,
I don't want a family.
children, and a sense of household and warmth. What would you rather have?
$1 million? What? I don't want a family right now.
So, okay.
Oh, ever? Like I have to pick one?
No. In this point in your life, that's you're saying you'd rather have the $1 million.
100%.
Right. And why do you say that?
My priority is not having a family right now.
Okay. And why else do you say that?
I value making money for my own ego.
Okay. And I think because at this point in your life, you can use the money, right? You can, you need it. You need some money. You got to pay for things. You got to eat, you got to live. You have to, utilize the money that you're going to earn or make, or in this case, hypothetically, I just gave it to you. You're saying you'd rather have that right now at this point in your life. And then there's some people that would feel otherwise. So they don't need the money. They'd rather have family. They'd rather have love, and rather have support and the things that come with that. Right. So just because you're 27 years old doesn't necessarily equate to the same answer.
Well, I'm sorry. If the question was, would I want to have my family, like you guys and siblings?
No, you're
like me starting a new family.
Your
I
own
wouldn't
family.
want to start a new family right now. No.
Okay. Right.
I'd rather have the money.
Right. So, if I say again to you, there's the ultimate question: does money buy that happiness? Does it afford you happiness? Does it equate? I just gave you $1 million. Are you happy?
No, because now I just want like that sense of, it's a very short-lived. It's like, again, it's like going viral.
Right.
Especially if it's like a lump sum of cash handed to you.
Right.
And you didn't really earn it. Like I would rather see progressive over time, me making a significant amount of money doing something, and I know I found the recipe to making that money, versus somebody just handing me $1 million.
Right. Yep. And so this is what happens, I think, a lot of times with people who win the lottery. Yeah. So if I gave you $1 million, you just really like kind of won the lottery. You just got $1 million.
Yeah, it wouldn't even like $1 million if you handed it to me right now. It wouldn't register. Like I would look at my bank account and be like, oh, there's another $1 million, but you wouldn't feel as happy as you'd think you would.
Right. I think that's the point I'm trying to make here, right? So the fact that there's a dollar amount, and I'm using the $1 million as an example, and it's in your hands, in your account, and somehow you're still not quite happy, speaks to one of the messages here, is that money doesn't always buy happiness.
But if I was dead broke on the streets right now and you said, do you want $1 million? I think that would make me extremely happy. Or if I was living at home and for whatever reason hated my situation that I was living in, someone said, "Hey, here's $1 million," that could drastically change.
Sure. So if you're in dire straits and you need the money, now you have the money. Now what happens? Now you're happy, you're going to use it. Now what happens as you start using it? There's less of it.
Yeah.
Well, now what happens? Now what goes through your mind? Do you think you, again, feel like it's okay, it'll last forever? Or do you think like you don't have the same amount of happiness as when you first were dumped into that situation where you have this blank check and you can just go right and get money for whatever you want?
Well, I think that's like the issue is sometimes like happiness could create contentment, which is then going to kill or starve any sort of future success, right? If I was like very, very happy with the life I'm living and I'm surrounded by people that are making less and they're boosting my ego, and I say to myself every night, I'm kind of good. Whereas then the next day you start hanging out with people that really, really have what you want as far as whatever it is, a certain amount of money or the impact they're having in the world. You're waking up a lot hungry. You may not be as happy. You may feel very like, I'm not at all what I thought I was going to be. But that's going to push you, I think, a lot harder. So the way I've seen it is, again, I'm 27, so I'm a little bit younger. But the money I have made, in my mind, was impressive for a short period of time, but just put me at a different level. And now I'm like, I'm nothing. And I felt more pressure now to make money than I ever really have.
Well, because now you're coming of age where you have to provide for yourself.
But it's not even providing for myself as in like the needs. I can provide housing, food, basic lifestyle. But now it's like this, I got to match what everybody else thinks of me and what I think of myself. So the money that I make, I have to tenfold. And if I don't, then I don't feel this sense of accomplishment.
All right. So give me an example. So then I just threw something at you. Now give me an example where you think money might be able to buy happiness.
Again, if I was in a situation where I had a family that was really, really struggling and I wanted to make sure that they were okay. So I had all the basic needs covered. But if you're asking me, it would have to come from something. Like if you handed me $1 million, that wouldn't feel even as close to as good as if I earned 500,000, And I use the example, like I think the happiest I have felt, like really like the sense of pure joy in the past 2 years or whatever it may be, like through JohnnyDrinks or whatever, was our 9-year bourbon launch. And the only reason for that, it was so much less about the dollar amount we made. Yeah, we made a decent amount of cash in like one night, but it was like this super dramatic fear of, I don't know if this is going to work. Is anybody going to buy this? This is a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of reputation we're investing into this. And if it doesn't, there goes everything that I thought we were. And then overnight, we sell this thing out with people in queue of thousands. So that sense of, I just accomplished something that I was so afraid it wasn't going to happen, brought me so much joy that I wanted to keep doing that. And money was sort of a byproduct.
Right. But unfortunately, in that example, it doesn't last. Right?
It didn't last, but what it did was it kept me so hungry. Like I wanted that feeling. It was like a drug.
You want to do it again. Right. So you want to go back and do it again. What I guess I'm trying to quantify here, and I'm going to give you an example soon. I'm going to give you an example that, again, narrative that money doesn't buy happiness or money can buy happiness. I wonder just what side of if you had to pick one, can buy happiness or doesn't.
I think as long as how you're doing it feels very purposeful. Again, like that was not, so we won't even mention numbers, but the 9-year bourbon launch, we did make some money. Right. It was not the most money we've made in one lump sum with this stuff. It was a significant amount though.
It was a byproduct though, but the money was a byproduct.
It was a byproduct.
It could have been $1 or $100. The fact that it was successful, answer that.
Well, how about
was
this?
It the fact that it was, wow, we did it. We sold that many bottles and it's off our plate, because you could have made the same money in 6 months if it took 6 months.
We could have made it in 30 seconds in a video.
Point is, forget the dollar amount associated to that success. It could be $1, it could be $100. But because it was so quick, and to your point, the stress around, is it going to work or is it not going to work? I think that's where the pleasure came in of knowing, oh, we did it. It was successful and it worked.
Yeah.
People found value in it.
That I think the excitement that other people had for this launch was what brought us the most happiness. But I think there is a reality. If we made $1 off that, I would have been like, why are we even doing this in the first place? If we made 10x what we made, would it have brought that much more joy? I don't really know. Like in that moment, I don't know how much more joy I could have felt. So
making $1 would have been just as good as making 100. It's
only because it would have saved us. Like I think when you invest into something, it's almost like putting a hand down at the casino. You're like, holy shit, I have to at least break even here, or there's so much more risk. Whereas like if you make money again working, or for us making a TikTok, it's just so different. So the money that we want to make has to be attached to the right reasons why we're making the money.
Understood.
Because here's also what I'm realizing, like nowadays, there's so much uncertainty and so much confusion. Like people wake up every day and they're like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know who I want to be. Making money is very interesting because people flex having money when they really don't. People that don't have money, or people that do have money, you would have no clue. So at the end of the day, I was thinking about this. I fit into, let's say, like there's brackets of wealth, right? You and I differently as like humans, maybe in different brackets of wealth, or maybe, whatever. I fit into that bracket. There's a skew of either way. I can make a fraction less, I can make a fraction more, but I'm still in that range. So for me to really level up and feel a different sensation from money, I'd have to like 10x what I'm making right now.
But it won't last.
That's my point, is that then I'm in the next bracket, I'm playing that same game that I played here to make 10x where I'm at.
Exactly. That's why, again, I say, so does money buy happiness? Because
I think when you realize that the money itself, nobody really, like no one cares as much as you do. So if you care, like we put value on dollars because we know it provides us a specific lifestyle.
It's a measuring stick.
Yeah. But it also, I've identified now, especially, it's so fabricated nowadays. I don't know how much money you make.
Well,
so I shouldn't be comparing myself to how much money you're making.
Well, it's easy to be fooled and highlighted and tricked to believe someone is doing well. And by measure of doing well, nice clothes, nice car, nice houses, that they have money. It's easy to be tricked because you can have all those things and owe everything to someone else, which is maybe the bank, right? Yeah. You can have all those things, but you may not have the money to afford them. So it's skewed. To your point of having money and it coming in different levels of your accomplishments, that doesn't always equate out to being a place that you could say, well, you're happy. You have $100 in the bank, you got $1 million, you got 10 million. Okay, well, are you happier at one level or the other? Not necessarily, because the person who has $100 in the bank might feel, wow, really good that they're not in the negative, right? The person that has 10 million might have so many debts that are associated with it. It could be in the net value of what their worth is kind of similar.
Right.
I know that's obscene to say, and it would be hard for some people to understand, but in my professional world of mortgage financing and having seen many a credit report, many a financial statements, first-handed, have seen people who look one way and on paper to the IRS and to the truth of the matter, very different. Very different.
For sure. But let's take and assume that somebody is actually on paper and in reality wealthy.
Okay,
right?
yeah, okay. So they're worth $10 million. Are they happy?
I think it really does depend on how excited they are to wake up every morning and do whatever they do to make that money.
They're worth $100 million. Are they happy?
They could be. I think that's the narrative.
But does that equate to happiness?
It could be. It could for them, because if they wake up and they say, I'm making this money and I'm going to do something with that money that provides me joy or my family joy, or I'm giving it back to somebody, or I'm having an impact in the world, like that's exciting stuff. And that's what excites me.
That's exciting you because you're a young person.
But $100 million excites me because of how much fun I can have with not only with my, I'm not saying I'm going to go ride jet skis. I'm saying I can now, for sure I will do that. But I'm saying the life that I can live and impact other people with. Like now I can give back to people that may not have, or provide opportunities for people that don't have. Like that excites me.
Okay. That's honorable. And that is very important. So and breaking it down to context, right? I just gave you the example. You're worth 10 million, you're worth 100 million. You're happy. And you think everybody in that category probably is close to being happy than not. And I'm telling you from this vantage point, they're not happy. And most people aren't happy because it doesn't matter. The denomination doesn't matter.
But that you're sort of saying like money brings the opposite happiness, which I don't think is true.
Well, money is the root of all evil. Money is not going to buy you happiness, not in any stretch of the context that I just gave you. The context I just gave you was 10 million or 100 million. Are you happy? And you think, yeah, well, sure, I got all this money. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be driving jet skis and going on boats and a vacation. Doesn't matter. It doesn't equal happiness. Where you will find happiness is you just scratch the surface on. So now you have this money and you can go jet ski, sure, or you could take money and donate it or give to someone else or bring up and make a family better. What do you think happens in that experience?
I think happiness, that's sort of like what my point is. I think happiness is like this golden, everyone's looking for it, right? We don't know how to find it and it's different for everybody else. So money will bring you happiness if that's what you're looking to do with that money. If you are the type of person that needs to feel the sensation of I'm going to have a dramatic impact on the world, it is very difficult to do without money, and you could definitely do it, but money makes it a lot easier. So it's like that's the vessel you're using. But at the same time, there's plenty of people that are very happy and content with living a very average lifestyle. As long as they have all their bases covered.
Right. And they're probably surrounded by a great family and good people.
If they're happy, yeah, probably.
Well, there's probably more happiness in those backdrops and those places than what you would think the other, which is, oh, I have all this money. And because we can dice it up a lot of different ways. I just want to keep it like into this one space, which is now what I'm trying to get to. And that's, you can use money to buy happiness. It may not be that you're buying it for yourself. Because I bought a new jet ski, I bought a new car. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm excited. After a day or two or a week or two, it's like, it's just the car. I like getting in the car. I love the way it looks. And I love the way it makes me feel, but it's not everlasting necessarily.
Well, I think everybody know, like, materialistic things are not going to bring you happiness. I don't think that's, but like, let's take it in reverse. Mm-hmm. Who's happy that every paycheck they have to worry about if they're going to be able to pay rent?
Right. No. Who is?
Right.
No, that's stressful.
So that's sort of where, but again, on reverse, when you are making a lot of money, you do have a lot more responsibilities. There's stress that you just created now. So it's almost like pick your stress.
Well, yeah.
But at the end of the day, you don't have to worry about paying your bills.
You may not have to worry about, but the bills are bigger. So the bank account's bigger, but so are the bills.
Well, let me ask you, if you could name, you don't have to name them, if you could think of your top 5 most happiest friends or people that are in your life, what do you think the median salary, does it waver to the richer side or the less wealthy side?
I think money's totally out of the equation. No, because I could say to you, as you asked that question, 5 people that make a lot of money or an average respectful place from which they pay their bills and their family's okay, both extremes. The ebbs and tides of things is the person who has more money is not necessarily happier. That person is maybe lonelier and unhappy, isn't married or recently divorced or looking for someone to partner with. Because I'm envisioning just that.
Oh, the people that I thought of.
Yeah, when you say that, 5, and I have plenty of examples of those relationships of people and friends. And it doesn't, money is not the standard, which again is going to set the tone of this.
Well, no, I didn't ask you how many, I asked you, like, if you had to name 5 people that were the happiest people you know,
okay,
do you think all 5 make average money? Do you think all 5 make a lot of money?
Some of the happiest people I know don't make a lot of money.
Sure.
They just don't.
Are there any of those 5 people that make a lot of money in your life?
Not when I think of who they are, that those happiest, most comfortable people do not make a lot of money. They're either in a stressful relationship, they're in
who?
Huh?
No, I asked you the happiest people.
Yeah,
I'm
the
not-
happiest
so
people,
You
but-
keep talking about the unhappy people.
No, you're talking about the people who make the most money.
No, I said to you,
Okay, the
out
people
of
that
the five
make the
people,
people that are most happiest
right,
don't make the most money.
in your
That's
life,
right.
is what I'm saying. So the happiest people you know,
Right.
5 of them, not one of them makes a lot of money.
No, not one of them. You said the happiest. Are we
I
talking
said
about
if
the
you could think of
happiest?
5 people that are genuinely very happy or seem happy
Yes.
in your life,
Yes.
not one of these 5 is making a significant amount of money.
I could say, yeah, not one. No, not a significant amount.
Wow, that's interesting.
They make a good living
Right.
to provide for their families, and then that's it.
Let me ask you the reverse. Out of these 5, are any of them struggling financially?
Yes.
And they're still very happy.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes, because they have their faith, they have their family, and they have their love, and they care less about money than maybe other people do. And it's not a show, and it's not a front. That's what they believe. That's their commitment.
That's very interesting. I think the money thing in this, again, it does make you feel accomplished when you're able to achieve, if maybe you weren't the smartest person in school and you didn't feel like you were good at anything, but at work, you're the best employee at wherever you're at, and you make a living and you're able to provide for other people. That's a really good feeling. I don't care if it's making $100 million or $50,000. As long as you're able to say to yourself, I did this. I think that's the goal for me in life, is to wake up and set goals and achieve them, and then continue to do that process.
Sure, you're wired that way. Most Americans are wired. We live to work. And then there's another mindset that is wired, like most Europeans.
Right, that's true. We live in America.
Right? Yeah. We live to work, and they work just to put food on the table and live.
That's very true.
And it is very true. And until you step out of that, and I don't mean out of this country, I just mean out of that place, to your point of, well, you have 5 people, and that's why when I think about that and answer that question, they may not be close buddies. Don't get me wrong here. These are, I'm taking a general consensus of people I know, people I see maybe every day or every week. I can tell who's genuinely happy by conversation. And it's very simple. How you doing? I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be alive. Sun's shining. My family's blessed. Those are real sentiments. And then there's those people who say, well, how you doing? I went out last night. I had a crappy meal. What a pain. I'm like, really? So it's and one person may have more money than the other. Yeah. And maybe that matters and maybe it doesn't. But I think there's something to be said about just the tagline, can money buy, or does money buy happiness?
Yeah. Well, I want to ask a question in reverse, but before I do that, I'm going to take a quick commercial break.
Okay.
And we're back with Johnny Drink Podcast. Today we're talking about, can money buy you happiness? The age-old question. And I think what we've come to a conclusion with is that they're almost like separate. You can be very happy with it. You can be very happy without it. You can be very upset without it. You can be very upset with it. So we talked about how a lot of people that you know in your life, the happiest ones really don't have that much money, which is very interesting because it's not a direct correlation. It's not like they're happy because they don't have a lot of money.
Right.
But how people that you do know that do have a lot of money that are happy, because you could see these, plenty of people that are happy with money, and you're one, right? You do have a significant amount of money that you seem very happy with. What do you think secrets are to that? Because the saying more money, more problems is very real. Do you maybe look at those problems in almost like I'm blessed to even have these problems type of way?
I look at it this way. I grew up modest and I didn't have a lot of money. So I know what it is to live modestly. So the money doesn't define me. The money, God forbid something were to change, and that's the way the world goes sometimes. Forget about my influence and the way it could hit my family, but everybody, the entire world. So money, it really is, it's a currency for me, and it's a byproduct for me, like I said, of the measure of success. And is it better to have it than not? Of course. Does it allow us to share and do other things with it? That's where I get the most satisfaction. That's where I find the most happiness, in the money that I've made and the ways in which I've supported and helped other people. And it's not about, I'm not doing this, I'm not going to say this in that context for a reason, but I have definitely put money towards other people to help them, to get them happiness, to truly support. And I think that's what our federal government system's about, right? Republicans look at things one way, Democrats look at another way. And forget which one's right or wrong. There's just a difference. Yeah. And I believe, without saying anything politically here, if you have money, you probably should try to help out your neighbor. Yeah. Your family is certain one thing, but your neighbor and your friends, you do what you can. By the same token, I don't know that it's right that the government takes 50% of it and then they decide what happens with it. But that's, again, what side of the bowl are you on?
They could probably guess.
Okay? Huh?
They could probably guess what side you're on by saying that.
No, you can't actually, because you might think I'm Democratic or you might think I'm Republican. I don't think that narrative will change also. Here's the great part. It'll change as you begin to get older. Yeah. What you feel at 27 and the way it works is, well, gee, that's great. I'll do my part. I'll chip into my community. I'll do all those things. And then all of a sudden you may feel differently as federally things change, government changes, and taxation law changes. And now all of a sudden, well, wait a second, I wanted to do something for myself and my family, and I have less in my paycheck. So you don't know what you experience today and how you experience it differently as you grow and evolve. Those economic influences and government impacts will have a bearing. Bottom line point is, what I choose to do and how to help out and find happiness is by sharing it and paying it forward to a certain degree with family and with friends and any opportunity that I can, right?
Well, that's why I like the idea of like giving back for that reason, because I know where that money's going, right? If you take 50% of the money I'm making as the government, it's a pain in the ass and it feels pretty shitty because it's in the air. You have no clue. But if I said to you, I'm going to make $2 million because I want to give half of it away, and I'm going to go actively back to my community or to people that I really resonate with and give it to them or make them earn it, that's a great feeling, or employ them. But you hit on something really important, which I actually just read in a book. I read a book called Daily Stoic, and it's every day it's a different page, and it's like a Stoic reading from philosophers. And yesterday's reading was about forcing yourself to once in a while live modestly, because God forbid, like you said, if you had to go back to living modestly, money is not the reason why you're extremely happy. You know that you'd be okay waking up in a very average house with an average car, eating average food. And so the example was like, once in a while, sleep on the floor, right? Like just to appreciate how it feels to sleep in a really comfortable bed, or don't go out to eat for the whole week, or, eat very reasonable. Sure. So it's stuff like that does put your life into like perspective, I guess.
Of course.
And how much, I think that's a key to happiness too, is the acceptance of, if it were to all go to zero tomorrow, I'd feel, number one, confident that I can make it back again, because that's the worst feeling in the world. If you think you got lucky once and you'd never be able to make the money you made one time ever again, and that you need that money to live the life that brings you happiness.
Right. As long as you have the desire and the ability to go and do, well, you can go and do anything. Yeah. Right. So, so money is definitely something that has a place and a necessity in this world, because it's what makes it go around. I know there's some people that just totally disregard it. They have it and they blow it. And it's almost like it burns a hole in their pocket. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, wow, more power to you. I don't judge anybody on how they live their life, how they spend or save, or that we can poke fun and have fun all day long with the guy or the girl or the person that just spends and spends, or the guy or the girl that says, I'm not going to spend, and saves their money. You can have fun with that in your group of friends, and you probably do. No problem. Right? There's so many different ways to experience this never-ending question of, well, does the money buy you happiness? And I'm going to give you a couple examples of where I think money does buy happiness. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
So with money, there's happiness and there's pleasure. If I buy the car, I just bought myself some pleasure.
Right.
If I buy the nice clothes, the house, I've got pleasure because it's satisfying and there's enjoyment there.
Right.
If I save my money and I give you, back to my example, $1 million, I'm happy that I gave that to you. I'm proud that I earned it and I had the ability to give it to you. That's never-ending happiness that I was able to afford you that.
You've got to be careful with that.
What's that?
You got to be careful with that.
Why is that?
Because I think what you're doing, and this is a conversation that's like very interesting to me, is the dynamic of rich parents with rich kids. So, and use the
we're not talking. We're using. Say it's. Let me back up. Rich parents with rich kids is good. I'm gonna let you continue, then I'm gonna come back and explain. Maybe that's not the best example, but I'll give you another one.
Sure. So that's because the fulfillment from the parent side of things when you're able to give your kids a lot of money is probably very good. But what it's doing to your kids is it is instilling this sense of guilt and this sense of entitlement in life that they didn't really ask for. So now, if you're a rich kid because you have rich parents, your pressure to make a lot of money is tenfold what the other guys is. So you may think making $1 million is a lot for you, but everybody else is like, well, of course he did. He had rich parents. So I'm not even saying I'm not even saying us. Like, you were very successful, but we're not the Rockefellers, right?
No.
We had to live, and I had to watch you go through times of, hey, we can't do certain things because of whatever. But we're always very comfortable, and that gave me motivation to keep going and want more and whatever. But these kids that like are really trust fund babies, I often step back and like, as a parent, that must feel great. But as that kid, like, how do you live? Like, what do you go do for a job? Because if your dad's making $100 million, you have to at least make that, or else you're feeling this sense of, I'm not worth anything.
Well, hopefully it goes back to upbringing, right? So if you're raised a certain way and you understand what it is to have to work, then you'll be okay when you go tap into the trust. If you never have to worry about that and you didn't have to carry the bag, right? We talk about being a caddy. When you're a caddy, you had to carry the bag. You don't get to play golf at a country club until you reach maybe necessarily a certain milestone, unless, again, you're afforded that at a young age, and then you're talking about a whole different dynamic. But everyone should, at some point, know what it is to carry the bag, right?
Right.
Okay. So if you're raised a certain way and you feel that pain and you don't get, just because I gave you $1 million doesn't mean you get access to it. Maybe it's just there. But I know one of the more satisfying things as a parent is to be able to say that we've worked hard, we've saved, and now we are going to enjoy it. And this is how we're going to enjoy it. Why do you think Mom and Papa want to pull off this big trip? Because they want, that's their happiness. Right. They will be forever happy knowing they lived modestly, they saved aggressively, invested aggressively, and made off of their hard worked dollar enough to pay forward to their grandchildren. That's why you do these things. So that's where my context comes in with that. But let me give you a better and easier example where money buys happiness. So my mother bought me a bracelet. She paid for it, gave it to me. Okay. I wore that bracelet all through high school. Mm-hmm. You know where the bracelet is now?
It's on my wrist.
It's on your wrist.
It's on my wrist.
So think about that. The name is worn off of that. You know how much happiness comes from that materialistic piece of metal? I'm assuming it's silver, right? But the point is, she bought it. Right. And she bought it, and that's afforded both of us now happiness. She gave it to me, I gave it to you. Right. This was a Christmas gift. You know who gave that to me?
Joe gave me the same one.
Joe. This he bought. Mm-hmm. It's forever brings happiness. I think about it when I touch it. I think about if I take it off to clean it. If it's not on my wrist, I like wonder where did I put it? And sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off. But that's another example of where money does buy happiness is when you pay it, I think, forward and you give to somebody else.
Yeah.
That's one of the gifts of being in a position to buy something for somebody and treat somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. I think hard work always has to be aligned with that making the money, or else that money is not going to bring you too much happiness. It's just your concept of what that money is supposed to mean is going to be so watered down
And warped.
or warped because you don't really. If I was 12 years old and you said to me, "Hey John, here's 10 million bucks," at an age where I wouldn't even know what that money would do for me, I would say, okay, just like you handed me $100. I wouldn't really know. So unless you said to me, you have to work really hard, and then at the end of this hard work, you're going to receive a gold coin, and that gold coin could be worth $1 million or 100. But at that point in my life, I would feel very accomplished. So I think other people too, they always say, oh man, that guy's worth a lot of money. Yeah, well, it was given to him. Or that guy's worth a lot of money. Yeah, he really worked his ass off for that. People love rooting for the people that work really hard. So I think that's the crux of feeling like proud of yourself, is that you just know you work really hard. You work hard at what you do, and you accomplish goals that you set out for yourself.
Yep.
You work hard, and the result is there, because people not that they don't respect it, but it's like you feel bad for the people on the other end of things that work really hard and have no money. So you got to find this balance of working really hard for the right things and for the right reasons.
Again, put it into context. Be mindful that it has a place, it has a purpose, but it is not. It makes the world go around, but it doesn't necessarily make your world happy because you have it. Yeah. I know a lot of very wealthy people who are lonely and would really love nothing more than to go and be over someone's house and have a home cooked meal.
Yes, and I think that leaves me with the feeling of don't let money get in the way so much that it sacrifices that sort of stuff. But don't stop the chase for money because it's not going to make you happy. If you told me right now, John, if you made $100 million, it's still not going to make you happy. Well, I'm not going to believe you. I'll go find out myself. So I don't want to stop that pursuit, because that's what...
Yeah, it's your drive. It's
right,
okay.
It's part of my drive.
And there's no embarrassment and shame. And I'll tell you what, there's no shame or embarrassment saying you want to make a lot of money. If that's the measuring stick for you, or not you specifically, but people in general, then go ahead, have at it. That's what's great about America. You could do anything you want to do, really. You could start your own business and franchise it.
Yeah.
Right? So I think, is that chasing money, or is that chasing success? And then the money comes, and so they're kind of intertwined.
I don't know anybody that has made a lot of money but that money making wasn't a focus. Everybody that made a tremendous amount of money, they knew what they were doing. They knew that was a goal of theirs. So anybody that's where the whole money doesn't buy you happiness from somebody that's been through it. It's just hard because they can only reflect now on it because they're doing it. But if you told them at the time that they were really striving to make that money, they wouldn't listen to you either.
Yeah, you got to go through it. It means something different for everyone. Obviously, that's why we have these conversations. We talk about some of the things, you highlight some of the things that, are more relevant maybe in my perspective because of my age, and less because of your age. You're thinking of things very differently because you're trying to chase and get up that mountain and go get whatever's at the top that makes you feel successful, and it may be a pot of gold, right? Because that's what you do when you're a young person and you're trying to find your relevance. Today, at 50-something years old, I'm just looking to maintain, hold on, and just get to that other place of the other side where it's okay, good. Now I can stand up and I can really breathe and I can enjoy the sunrise and the sunset.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just, again, the added pressure that money does bring is something to really keep an eye out for, because that's something that people don't. I think if there's anything that you can warn somebody of, is that nobody tells you, from successful person older to up and coming successful person, is that pressure is going to hit you regardless. It's inevitable, and it is very real, where that will risk happiness. Where if you wake up every day like the Florida Gators in fear of losing or in fear of not making as much money, that's going to kill you. So you should really learn how to just appreciate the problems that you have now at this level. No, it's not going to make or break you, but at the same time, never stop pushing. Like you should always keep moving forward.
Well, appreciate the grind, appreciate the process, enjoy it, embrace it, and put less emphasis on the dollar amount. It's there, it'll come.
Yeah.
But
and there's no finite number that that's the number that's going to make you happy.
No, it's infinite.
It is. And that's the fun part of it. The game.
Sure.
Yeah. I think that's it for today.
All right.
Everybody. Let us know how you feel about this. I think there's different perspectives based on where you're at, where you live. Again, we're Americans living in Northeast. It's very fast-paced environment that we're here in, metropolitan New York City area. But if you live in Europe or maybe Midwest, it's going to be drastically different. So let us know in the comment section. That's it for today. Like, subscribe, share. Cheers.
Cheers.